Welcome back, deep thinkers. Today we're tackling a subject that's often misunderstood and stigmatized: schizophrenia. Did you know that over 20 million people worldwide are affected by this disorder? It's time we shed some light on this complex condition. Schizophrenia affects how a person thinks, feels, and behaves. In this video, we'll dive into the 10 signs of schizophrenia. Knowledge is power, folks. Understanding the signs is the first step towards getting help. One hallmark symptom of schizophrenia is delusions. These aren't just everyday misconceptions, they are false beliefs held with unshakable conviction, even against overwhelming evidence. Imagine believing your neighbor is a secret agent sent to spy on you, or that you have superpowers. These delusions can be incredibly distressing and isolating. Imagine trying to maintain a relationship when you're convinced your partner is poisoning you. It can be nearly impossible to build trust. Families often bear the brunt of these delusions. Imagine a parent convinced their child is an imposter. It's a fundamental break from reality that can tear families apart. Reasoning someone out of a delusion is like convincing a brick wall to move. Logic and evidence just bounce right off. Seeking professional help is crucial. Hallucinations, folks, these are sensory experiences that feel very real, but are actually created by the mind. Imagine sitting at your desk at work, trying to focus on a spreadsheet, when suddenly you hear voices whispering your name, criticizing your every move. Or you look across the office and you see shadowy figures lurking in the corner, even though no one else seems to notice. Hallucinations can involve any of the 5 senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. But auditory hallucinations, hearing voices, are the most common in schizophrenia. These voices can be relentless, folks. They can be critical, threatening, or even command the person to do things. Now imagine trying to hold down a job, to function in your day-to-day life, when you're constantly bombarded by these sensory experiences. It's like trying to have a conversation in a crowded room where everyone's shouting at you at once. It's overwhelming, it's distracting, and it can make it nearly impossible to separate what's real from what's not. Let's talk about disorganized thinking. This is a core symptom of schizophrenia, frustrating for both the individual and those around them. It's like their thoughts are a tangled-up garden hose, making coherent thoughts and sentences difficult. Imagine trying to have a conversation with someone struggling with this. They might jump from one topic to another, making it nearly impossible to follow their train of thought. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. It's not laziness, folks. It's their brain struggling to organize and process information. Imagine trying to maintain friendships when you can't follow a conversation or articulate your thoughts clearly. Schizophrenia isn't just an illness of the mind, it can manifest in the body as well. We're talking about extremely disorganized or abnormal motor behavior movements that seem purposeless, agitated, or even bizarre. Imagine someone pacing back and forth relentlessly, unable to sit still. Or perhaps they make repetitive, unusual movements with their hands or face, almost like a strange dance. It's like their body is speaking a language that no one else understands. Now picture this happening in a public setting. Someone at the grocery store suddenly contorting their body, muttering to themselves, seemingly oblivious to the stares and whispers around them. It can be alarming, even frightening, for those who don't understand what's going on. This abnormal motor behavior can be a sign of catatonia, a state where the person might become completely unresponsive to their surroundings. They might hold rigid postures for hours, their limbs locked in place as if frozen in time. Now, we've talked about the more dramatic symptoms of schizophrenia, but let's not forget about the negative symptoms. And I'm not talking about bad behavior here. These are symptoms that represent a decrease or absence of normal emotions and behaviors. One of the most debilitating negative symptoms is avolition, a severe lack of motivation. Imagine waking up every day feeling like you're wading through quicksand, with no energy or desire to do anything, even things you once enjoyed. This lack of motivation can be devastating to someone's life. Jobs become a struggle, personal goals fall by the wayside, and even basic self-care can feel like an insurmountable hurdle. It's like their inner drive, their spark, has been extinguished. Relationships suffer too. Imagine a partner or family member who used to be full of life and enthusiasm, now withdrawn and apathetic. It can be incredibly frustrating and heartbreaking for loved ones to witness this transformation. Now, social withdrawal is a common symptom in many mental health conditions, but in schizophrenia it can be particularly pronounced. Imagine someone who used to be the life of the party, always surrounded by friends and family, suddenly retreating into themselves, avoiding social contact like the plague. Family gatherings, Forget about it. Phone calls, they go unanswered. It's like they've built a wall around themselves, cutting off all communication with the outside world. And it's not because they don't care, folks, it's the illness driving them to isolate themselves. This withdrawal can be fueled by a number of factors. Paranoia and delusions might make them distrustful of others, convinced that people are talking about them or plotting against them. Hallucinations can make social interactions overwhelming and distressing. And then there's the stigma. The fear of being judged, misunderstood, or labeled as crazy can be so powerful that they simply choose to avoid social situations altogether. Chapter 7. The Fog of Thought, Cognitive Challenges. Schizophrenia doesn't just affect our emotions and behaviors, it can also have a significant impact on cognitive function, the very processes that allow us to think, learn, and remember. Imagine your brain feeling like it's constantly shrouded in fog, making it difficult to focus, concentrate, or make decisions. Simple tasks that most people take for granted, like balancing a checkbook, following directions, or remembering appointments, can become monumental challenges. It's like their mental processing speed has slowed to a crawl. This cognitive impairment can make it incredibly difficult to succeed in school, hold down a job, or even manage day-to-day responsibilities. The frustration and self-doubt that come with these challenges can be overwhelming. Imagine the feeling of constantly falling behind, of not being able to keep up with the demands of life, even the simplest ones. It's a constant struggle to stay afloat when your own mind feels like it's working against you. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of schizophrenia is something called anosognosia, or lack of insight. This means that the person may not even realize they are ill, that their thoughts and perceptions are being distorted by their condition. Imagine trying to convince someone who is convinced they are being followed by the CIA that they need to see a doctor. It can feel like you're talking to a brick wall. Their reality is so skewed, so firmly entrenched, that any attempt to challenge it is met with resistance, even anger. This lack of insight can be incredibly frustrating for families, who often feel powerless to help their loved ones. They see the suffering, the decline, but the individual themselves remains oblivious, trapped in the throes of their illness. It's why early intervention and treatment are so crucial. The longer someone goes without treatment, the more entrenched these delusions become, making it that much harder to break through. Now, we all have our ups and downs, our moments of joy and sadness, anger and excitement. But for someone with schizophrenia, those emotional peaks and valleys can flatten out, leaving them feeling numb, detached, and emotionally unresponsive. Imagine going through life like you're watching it on a black and white television screen. The colors are muted, the emotions dulled, and the world feels distant and unreal. This is the reality for many people struggling with flat affect, a common negative symptom of schizophrenia. This emotional flatness can be incredibly isolating, both for the individual and for those who care about them. Imagine trying to connect with a loved one who seems emotionally shut down, their face a blank mask, their voice devoid of inflection. It's like trying to hug a shadow. Relationships become strained, intimacy dwindles, and the chasm between them widens. It's not that they don't feel anything, folks. It's that their illness is robbing them of their ability to express those emotions outwardly. Now, when we talk about schizophrenia, we're not just talking about a collection of symptoms. We're talking about a serious mental illness that can have a profound impact on a person's ability to function in their daily lives. Imagine waking up every day facing an invisible enemy, your own mind, working against you. It's a constant battle to navigate the world when your thoughts are jumbled, your perceptions are distorted, and your emotions are blunted. Holding down a job can feel impossible. Imagine trying to focus on tasks, follow instructions, or interact with coworkers when you're battling hallucinations or struggling with disorganized thinking. Even simple jobs can become overwhelming. Maintaining a household, taking care of basic needs like cooking, cleaning, and paying bills can feel like climbing Mount Everest. The motivation just isn't there, the energy is sapped, and even the smallest tasks feel insurmountable. Thank you for watching, Deep Thinkers. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Stay curious and keep exploring the depths of the mind. Remember, schizophrenia is a treatable condition. With proper medication, therapy, and support, individuals with schizophrenia can live full and meaningful lives. It's time to break down the stigma and replace it with understanding and compassion. If you or someone you love is struggling with schizophrenia, please reach out for help. There are resources available, and you don't have to face this alone. Together, we can make a difference.